Right, and welcome back to Chair League. We are on Infernal Shrines on another game this evening. This is going to be between Leathal and Crond6? Crond6? Crond6. I'm never 100% on any of these pronunciations ever. But Crond6, we're going to call them Crond6. It makes the most sense to me. And just Leathal. So Leathal will be on the left and Crond6 will be on the right. Infernal Shrines, we're going to actually see Kerrigan band hovered for a second there. They are first pick, so they can lock that down themselves. It's definitely the advantage you have. So, not banning out the Kerrigan, who's very good at, shrining, at being a solo shriner while you're... If you can get the team fight advantage and your team is pushing into the lane while... you got your Kerrigan on the shrine, she can just sit there all day and just queue from, skeletal defender to skeletal defender. So definitely a smart thought to ban it out so that they don't have to deal with it, but it looks like maybe they'll just pick it up themselves. All right. And on the side of Leathal, if they're not going to pick it up, or if they don't want to deal with it, Uther's just a strong ban at this point. He's really difficult to deal with. But Malthael will actually be banned out here. Malthael does do really well on Battlefield of Eternity, but Infernal Shrines, I don't know how he actually does against the Punishers. First pick on the side of Crond6. Wonder what they would be going into here at this point. I would want to think that they're going to want to pick up, if they can, if it's in their roster, to definitely get that Uther. If not, maybe get the Anubarak. That's one thing I'm not too sure about on this one. Yeah, that's very... Because if you're not going to pick it up, you can go for the Dahaka first pick too. It's just he seems so strong and such a important asset to a lot of people's drafts at this point that how do you not pick up Uther at this point? Because that seems to be the route that a lot of people are taking. On the side of Leathal though, they can honestly pick up Dahaka, who does pretty good on the shrine himself with his Primal Aggression. Or no, that's the level 1 talent. Dark Swarm. With his Dark Swarm, he definitely gets the AoE damage onto the skeletal defenders. And then maybe pairing him up with something that's strong like a Greymane here. Dahaka Greymane's a pretty good combination. Greymane is a very strong solo laner, so you're actually getting your 2 solo laners right off the bat. Then you can just worry about your hyper carry, your ranged assassin, or your double tank, or your healer. So I think just getting those 2 would be a strong pick. But this is Chair League, so we do see some interesting things come out. Last game we had a Rexar on... Okay. And Greymane. Okay, I was wondering if it was going to be Gul'dan, because Gul'dan pairs very well with her, but getting that Greymane is going to be a surefire way to get a high burst hero on your side. So, in response though, before we go into our next ban phase, Crond6, they definitely are going to want to be able to... I would think that you'd want to get your tank and maybe one of your assassins at this point. So that Kerrigan they hovered with maybe a Stitches would be pretty good here. But they're actually going to go ahead and pick up the Anubarak, which is still a very strong tank, as I've been seeing throughout the day while casting. At least he looks viable at this point. I have not played against it. And then they're going to go ahead and run the Vala with that as well. So... that is pretty good stuns on the side of Crond6. I keep saying 9-6. I was too big of a Cloud9 fan, and now that's all I'm thinking. Ban wise for Leathal here, On Infernal Shrines, they're going to want to try, at this point, they've got a good assassin, a good tank, and a good healer. So they're going to want to probably minimize the amount of shrine clear capability that they can get on the side of Crond 6. So something like banning out the Gul'dan if they're not going to take it themselves, because they do have first pick after this draft phase, so they definitely can go ahead and get that Gul'dan if they wanted it. So honestly, like, banning out a Sony here would work pretty well. That seems to run pretty well with the comp, but as well as Tassadar. Tassadar actually is a really good ban here. Extremely, extremely strong on the shrines. And banning out a main tank here. Varian is great here because of the taunt he has. So if you were to run like Stitch's Varian into like a hook taunt, and then you have Gul'dan with a Horrify as well, you can really split people up here. Actually, I'm surprised no one is picking up Gul'dan yet. With the Horrify and the ability to split the teams and those tight corridors where people just sit there and run into walls because Horrify is making them run into a wall. But Dahaka is going to be banned out here, which is strong. As at the beginning of the draft, we had talked about how Dahaka with the Dark Swarm in the shrines is pretty useful to get the Skeletal Defenders, as well as the armor reduction that he gets at, I think, 13. So it's just, he's just a well-versed and well-rounded hero. So in response, though, you'd want to get something. I'm trying to think. They're going to want to pick up a tank here. So Stitches, I still think Stitches Gul'dan. I think that's what they need right now. That's definitely what I think they're going to want. Let's see here as we go right into it. It is going to be Dahaka Arthas. And Dahaka Arthas actually works out just as well. The Shadow Charge into the Overpower with the stuns from Arthas work just as well as the hook that you get from the Stitches. They still can go into another ranged assassin. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But, well, I like how no one's... Maybe people are agreeing beforehand, but, like, there is no prioritization or care to get Stukov at this point, which is just odd to me because he is really, really powerful. So I'm just so curious as to why no one's going to be running him. So at this point, you're going to want to, on the side of Crond6, we'll just go with that. Something like a Sonya, you're going to want. A Muradin works well with the Anubarak stuns, as well as the stuns from Vala. You get post 10 and Uther. And Alarak for a little bit of control. So the spaghetti face man himself, Alarak, just completely said that sentence backwards. And so that's actually a really, really terrifying comp on the side of Crond6, because of the fact of that Uther Anubarak stun off the bat, as well as the Muradin stun and the silence and the telekinesis from Alarak. Once you get to 10 with the Vala Rain of Vengeance, or even then if she takes Strafe, I don't want to be on the receiving end of that combo. But in response, we do have the Ariel, who does have the whips for the disengage, the Greymane, who has his own disengage, and then at 10 he has the Cursed Bullet to melt Anubarak and Muradin. And then you've got the control from Arthas and Diablo with the Shadow Charges and Overpower from Diablo and the Roots from Arthas, and as well as the slow, and he is also a strong solo Shriner. So in response, please let it be Gul'dan. And it's actually going to be Ragnaros. Ragnaros I have not seen Ragnaros in so long, but he is also a pretty good solo Shriner. The meatball he can drop from the sky, as well as his hammer, which I would not be surprised to see him just go still standard hammer build. It seems to me the most powerful one. All Alright, and here we go into our first game between Leathal and Crond6. Alright, and on the left-hand side, we are going to have Leathal with DPS Mercy on Ariel, Kerrigan on Ragnaros, Gold 77 on Greymane, Sassy Port on Arthas, and Soylad on Diablo. On the right-hand side, we are going to have Crond6 with Kazan on Muradin, Twang on Anubarak, Lazy French on Alarak, Twang on Anubarak, Lazy French on Alarak, Luket on Vala, and Mark on Uther. Alrighty. So, lane matchup wise, we're probably going to see the Greymane soloing as well as the Alarak on the opposing team, and then I would assume there's going to be the 4-man in bottom lane between bottom and mid. So you put your Greymane, your Alarak in top, and then you'll run the rest of your team in bottom lane and then rotate between bottom and mid, much like you do on Tomb of the Spider Queen. The rotation is pretty short, so you can make it, and you don't really lose out on that experience, but you have to be sure to make those rotations back and forth quick enough and not delay yourself by team fighting or getting caught by some sort of CC that's thrown out. But here we go into our first game.
We cannot tarry.
All right, and here we go. The retreats are already called out. We're gonna have Crond6 trying to get a bolt or a hammer onto one of the members. I also have to note the full Cyber Billy build is pretty awesome. Ooh, there is the double root onto Alarak and Muradin. There is no follow-up. Looks like they're still going to be waiting in the bushes. They're going to try and bait them in. They get them in here. The Anubarak does come out. There is a huge stun onto the Ariel, and just this aggressive hyper play on the side of Crond6. Looks like we're going to be seeing Anubarak rotating into bottom. Ragnaros is still top, so he has been pushing that pretty well. We're going to see the Alarak going up there as well. So we're not going to actually have the Greymane soloing. We're going to have the Ragnaros soloing and Greymane in for the fight. The Gilneas Cocktail connects on a few members of Crond6 there. Muradin will come in, get his slam down, but it will not be doing anything. Alright, there is a Shadow Charge from the Diablo, trying to get him towards the gate, but there was no... Or excuse me, it was an Overpower, but there was no Shadow Charge. And there's going to be another rotation. Just quickly peeking up here just to see how things are going. It looks like just going to be an even matchup. No one's trying to win the lane, just trying to soak it up and get close to that level 4 for the first shrine, which I believe is at 2 minutes? Just about 2 minutes. So we actually are seeing a slight rotation from Crond6 with the 4-man. They left their Muradin in bottom, but I think he was just still trying to clear. They came down to clear it up a little bit quicker. We're gonna have this small engagement here in mid. The Ariel is actually left behind by your team, and we are gonna have the Anubarak diving into that Ariel as best as he can. Arthas is out of mana, and he will be having to rotate away. The retreats are called out, though. And it looks like at this point we are going to have Ragnaros on the shrine by himself. There looks like there's going to be a flank from Alarak as well as the rest of the team, and this is going to be a dead Molten God. And with that single kill, it really gives them the advantage on the side of Crond6 because of the fact that they're missing, well, they didn't know this, but the Arthas was missing. He was getting mana. Now they have to wait on their Ragnaros to rotate in, so they can take this 4v5, but once again, it's a 4v5, and if you start to lose these kind of fights, the map will snowball extremely quickly. Nice whip from Ariel onto Muradin. Huge lockdown from Arthas, but he will be falling. The burrow does come out, and that will be a dead Lich King. Lich King, I don't know the WoW canon enough to actually say that, so I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's the Lich King because it's, you know, that's the expansion for Warcraft 3. We are going to have the Punisher coming in. The Ragnaros will be getting behind the gate, so they will bait it over the gate. They'll probably be getting at least the gate towers here, unless they get a couple picks, which I don't think they're going to be getting. It looks like they're going to play it safe, and this is actually the one thing I did not think about, and this is something that's extremely useful on this map. Ragnaros can just go ahead, take over the tower, and protect it from taking any extra damage. So he does protect the fort, and they're just going to lose almost their turret. But on that note, though, later in the game, the Punisher and the damage will be too much for him to actually sustain through a whole one. So the benefit that he'll get from it is hit or miss. It really depends on if he can channel it quick enough and get a big swing, stun them out, and then there's enough follow-up damage from Greymane and the other, you know, mostly Greymane, really. If there's enough follow-up damage from him, then definitely they're going to be getting a benefit out of that. Looks like we're going to have people just rotating back into their lanes, trying to get a couple camps, and at this point, you just want to hope that the Shrine is in bottom next, because what they'll probably be doing in the next few minutes is rotating into that hard camp after it looks like they just fight over this soft camp in mid, and looks like they're going to go ahead and cap that, and Diablo is going to get body blocked. He will not be able to get out. There's the telekinesis, and he will be falling. Ariel did try and keep him alive, but Arthas rotated in a little bit too late. The burrow is there. The hop too, but he gets right behind the gate, and actually Vala gets him with one of her arrows. And that is not the situation you want to be in for Leathal. At this point, they're going to want to try and look to get their hard camp. You're going to want them to try and push up that top lane, wherein the next Punisher Shrine should be in, hopefully, bottom for them. Ragnaros is getting slowed out here, but he does have a decent amount of health on him from the healing well. At this point, they're just trying to save their lane, but Alarak is getting free push in top, which will help them with the camp that they're probably going to be getting. Root from Arthas connects onto the minion wave. Just check into some of the talents really quick. Ragnaros is almost done with his level 1. Alarak is just kind of getting through his level 4 a little bit. And this is in mid, so they're going to go ahead and just forego the hard camps and push. Oh, looks... Okay. So, Leathal will be starting this. Crond6 does need to regroup. Their Anubarak is in bottom, so they need to wait for him before they can really take this engagement. They are currently all showing in mid. Murden did walk in by himself, maybe to bait them out a little bit. Anubarak is getting into that backline, just really literally walking into the backline. Arthas got pulled out real easy by the bait there from the Murden, and Ariel is separated from the team, and Greymane, excuse me, not Greymane, Murden will be leaping onto her with his jump, and then we're going to see the stun coming out from Anubarak as well, and this is just Diablo trying to bait the, and that is going to be 10s for Crond6. Alright, we're actually going to see Haymaker from Murden, and if my friend Jeff is watching this right now, he's going to be so happy, and I'm going to get a message later, and he's going to say, I told you so, it's so good on that map. He gave me so much crap for it, but it's so good. I still to this day do not believe Haymaker is worth taking, almost ever. The sustain you get from Avatar is way more worth it, but we'll see. We'll see how this Haymaker's used. Maybe they have some ideas of how they want to just reposition and completely just control fights. But at this point, they're just going to let their Punisher push the wave. And they're just going to, yep, they're already retreats called out. They're just going to go ahead and rotate top and try and get at least the gate. Snowball a little bit more experience in their favor. That Vala is going to be able to melt these towers, especially with her multi-shot build. So with that, Ragnaros we will see, just that's a given for it, but let's just take a peek at this. Ragnaros did save the majority of the fort. They do pull the Punisher a little bit away from it, and it looks like, yeah, they'll be saving mid, but at the same time they're going to be giving top. Meanwhile, in bottom, Arthas is soaking up, trying to get closer to those 10s. That way when the next shrine pops in, probably bottom, it's going to be an easy gate for them because it's already worn down, in the hopes that they're going to be getting it. But what I'm actually really curious about, I was just thinking, they ran up to top and worked that one down, where I would have thought they would have rotated into bottom to work down that gate so that way they don't have anything to hide behind for the next engagement. I just had to check there for myself because I was like, wait, did they actually take the gate? Ragnaros is caught out here, though. The danger did come out, but it was a little too late. There is the combo. There is a web wrap. And the stun from Diablo just to buy a little bit of time, but it was just a little bit too soon. The combo on the Ariel is there, and she will be falling. The combo was there, but it was actually a little bit too soon. But either way, she was surrounded. She wasn't going anywhere. Unless this is Ariel post 20 with Flight, but who really takes Flight at 20 with Ariel? So a strong commanding lead from Crond6, and what they're going to be doing here is they've got pressure in their top. They're going to go ahead, get this fort in mid because they can see that 2 members are in top. Definitely the gray main, the one who can deal the most damage to them, is the one furthest away, so they're going to not worry about getting rotated on. They'll go ahead, take this, do a little bit of home. Uther's going to do a little bit of home remodeling on that side wall. And this is what I was talking about. They're going to go ahead, confirm this gate, and that way when the next Punisher spawns, as I said in bottom, because top, mid, it's going to be bottom after that, they definitely want to confirm this so that way the Punisher has nothing to leap over and bait it. But there is the 13s. There are the 13s on the side of Crond6. Leathal goes in for this engage, not realizing that the people are in the bottom lane. The Aegis comes out onto the Diablo, trying to save him. Arthas is trying to wear down this Vala, but he is too far left. He's left all by himself, and he will be falling. There is the Cocoon onto the Ariel, and this is the Haymaker. And, oh wow, they just moved her all over the place with that one. I thought she was going to get out for a second. The Shrine will be started, and looks like they're going to be trying to push into this a little bit hard, maybe even just get this fort before the Punisher's even successfully captured. Looks like we're going to have Greymane going into the top lane, trying to get a little bit closer to that 13 gap. But at the same time, Nubrek is countering that by pushing in the mid wave, and with this bottom push too, they are getting significant experience advantage on the side of Crond6. Crond6. Excuse me. Keep saying the wrong one. We do have a flip onto the Murd, and he does Haymaker away the Ragnaros, who gets Crystal Aegis. Vala does have... There's a stun onto him. Murden did get the stun as well. Diablo does use the Apocalypse, does get it onto the Alarak, but they are chasing so close. Vala does get that last extra bit of damage, and they turn around onto the Ariel, who's just rotating in to try and save her friends. And they're going to say, you know what, we're going to wait on the Punisher, we'll go ahead and get this fort, and then we'll go and finish it out. And this is actually... So... I'm honestly just kind of noticing this because I was just noticing that bolt coming out for a Murden. He went completely bolt built, like sledgehammer piercing bolt. Like, I have never seen this kind of build come out. So interesting to say the least, obviously. And they are doing, I mean, they're doing work with it. So they did scout that out. They wanted to try and see if they could pick them off at that camp. But with the Punisher already pushing down the gate in bottom, they're going to go ahead and confirm one for themselves. Looks like Ragnaros did finish, I'm assuming, his level 4 talent there. Yep, Alarak is almost done with his, so is a Nubarak. So with this gate falling, they're going to be trying to... I was about to say, hopefully they're not looking for a fight. They're 2 talent tiers down. And they do call it the retreat. So Alarak does push up that top wave as best as he can. And at this point, they have got... Crond6 has Leathal on their heels. And at this point, I'm wondering to see if they can scout this out and force a team fight. And Nubrek is there. They try to escape, but Nubrek gets the dive onto the... Oh my god, the Ragnaros and the follow-up Rain of Vengeance from Vala. And with the Cocoon onto the Ariel, I mean, they are just controlling each team fight, and then they're going to decide to get to camp. And unfortunately for Leathal, they're really just... They need to turtle up and play as safe as they can. Even just getting camps at this point is just too dangerous because with the 4-level lead from Crond6, they're going to be pressing onto a keep, and if they get a couple picks off of this respawn... Maybe even pushing onto core. They do have the potential for it because they do have that power spike at 16, but they are going to be fighting near the core, so there is that ability for Leathal to go back, get full quicker, and they can come back in and engage again. But they're going to say, know what, we're going to go ahead, we're going to rotate, we're going to get map control. You guys can go de-push the lanes and try and get close to 16. But at this point, that's all they can really do. Unfortunately, it's a very, very strong map, it appears, for Crond6. And I wonder to see how they can just respond to this. They definitely have so much pressure against them. Ragnaros is starting to come online with a few of his talents, so he will be able to defend a little bit better, but at the same time, without his 16 against them, it's just going to be so hard, as well as Greymane. I mean, a lot of these heroes, they need to hit that power spike at 16, and then, you know, they can maybe force that fight before 20. But at this point, they're just going to have to de-push. Oopsie. They're going to have to de-push the lanes and just try and soak up as best they can. In the meanwhile, we might as well just take a quick peek at some of these damage numbers and abilities. Ragnaros sieging at 108,000, just a little bit above that Vala. We are actually going to have the Haymaker out from the Muradin onto that Greymane, trying to knock him out of position, but there is the Hammer and the into the Apocalypse and the Cursed Bullet, so does not look like a lot of it connected, and then unfortunately this Ariel's going to get chased down. She does get the healing onto herself, but it looks like a couple B-steps and she'll be dying. And with that, there's going to be an Arcane Punisher pushing top against just a Diablo, because he did have enough souls to come back right away. And there will be the Arthas as well, too. Alright, and with this Punisher, without it being baited already, there is a hop, so they're already calling out for the retreats. They baited over and behind the keep, so Nubrak is a little far forward here. They do have him isolated, but the rest of the team does follow around. Arthas is trying to bait the Punisher over to the secondary keep, so that way they don't have to... Ooh, so they don't have to take core damage, but it looks like the hop will go over towards the Diablo. Ragnaros did also fall there. He was trying to get the Molten Core for that huge swing that we all like to see in the HCC, but that is not going to be happening, and they are going to be confirming this. The D-Shield onto Muradin, and GGs are thrown out. That is going to be game number 1, going over to Crond6. Alrighty, and welcome to our second game. We are going into Tomb of the Spider Queen. On the left-hand side, we have Leathal. And on the right, we have Crond6. Crond6. It's going to take me like so many games just to figure this out. Right. Okay, sorry. Just trying to message out the to our Discord. It looks... I have another game that I'm supposed to be casting at 8 o'clock, but I do not think that I will be able to make that on time, so I want to try and find them a caster. So, that way it's just fair to them, because that's kind of rude for me just to drop off when they expected a caster all day. Alright, so Genji will be banned out here as well. Yeah, I'm just trying to look. 8-10. I don't think I'll be able to make that. Especially with this draft is just literally starting right now. So, gonna go ahead and remove that. There we go. Okay. Alright. Sorry to that team. Sorry so much. But unfortunately, I will not be able to cast their match because of the fact that I selected 2 games in a row. My mistake. Alrighty, so going into this, we're gonna have a first pick Anub'arak. So the Anub'arak on the side of Crond6 did really, really well last time. So taking that from them and just utilizing it themselves on the side of Leathal might be extremely, extremely good. I just want to know what you'd respond now. Tomb of the Spider Queen is a very good wave clear map. I've just been harping on this all day, and I just hope someone picks it up. Just go the Ariel Gul'dan. Like, it's easy, it works, you get good wave clear, it's good for the 4-man rotation, the corruption throughout the game scales so strong. Other than that, you can just go ahead and pick up like Uther and into like a Greymane or something. That's an easy pickup. Vala will be grabbed and Uther. So they grab the Uther and they just take their Vala. In the last match, their Vala was just insanely just aggressive and pushed, just pushed so hard and confirmed so many kills of just so many people just barely getting away. But with those hatred stacks, her ability, if she's at 10 hatred stacks, and I think she took Hot Pursuit, she's able to just to get after those heroes and get that extra 1 or 2 shots that she needs to really destroy an enemy team. I mean, and that's what they really did. They kind of just picked them apart one at a time, and that's in the earlier Chair League match I was casting, that's one of the things that I think that they were trying to attempt to do with this like Stitches Uther combo with Kael'thas as well on Tomb of the Spider Queen. But unfortunately that did not work out too well for them. So in response, we're going to see the Greymane picked up once again and a Rhaegar for healing. So Rhaegar, I don't think they're going to do it, and I always bring it up, but it's because it's just fun to think about. So far, all of their heroes are like perfect for a Bloodlust comp. So maybe if you went and played with the new Tyrande, because she seems pretty strong, and you get some of that healing from her, and then you maybe take like a Thrall, and then you run like Bloodlust, Earthquake comp. No one's done that in a long time. Please, someone give me that. Kael'thas, it looks like it's going to be Kael'thas is probably going to be banned. And I was actually just looking really quickly. Stukov, someone did confirm in Chair League that Stukov is not banned, so they could still pick up Stukov. I mean, it's like to literally try and learn the hero right now would be way too hard. But who knows? I mean, you could have played him on PTR, and if he hasn't changed much, which just hopefully his bugs have been fixed where he was getting his 4 at 1 without even being selected. Tychus will be banned out here on the side of Leathal. So I'm wondering if they're just trying to get... part of me thinks that they're going to go into a Cho'Gall for some reason, and they didn't choose Ariel so that it wasn't obvious, but at the same time... Because like the Tychus ban, you typically ban out Tychus when you're going to pick Cho'Gall. But also at the same time, you could just ban out Tychus because you're going to pick up, maybe they're going to try and do like a triple warrior and just protect the Greymane the entire time. Like they could pick up Zarya and Sonya. Or even Arthas again. Arthas was a pretty good choice in my opinion. But like the shields that you get from Zarya.
From order.
So Tacitus picked up into Varian. And I would assume he's going to go Taunt. No way! Alright, well, first Cho'Gall game of Chair League, I think. So, that's crazy exciting. I'm just surprised. So, I wonder if the Rhaegar was intentional, like they're just going to go Ancestral onto him. I think they can go Falstead into the Cho'Gall for the Giant Killer, though. I mean, he's a Giant Killer at 13, and he would work with their comp. They don't have a lot of melee, but they have... No, they won't go into the Falstead. I don't think... I think you'd want to... Well, yeah, Leoric, duh. Of course, duh. I always forget about Leoric. Oh, man. Okay, well, we have a Cho'Gall. Oh, it's just so exciting. I'm just too excited about this. So... Alrighty. All right, and on the left-hand side, ooh, we're loading into this real quick. We will do this in the matchup. So we'll talk about some laning, and then we'll introduce them in game. I'm still flabbergasted by the Cho'Gall. So it looks like they're gonna probably do their gray main solo and bottom, and they'll run the rest of their. Or no, you'd run Cho'Gall solo bottom. I don't know what you do. I really don't know what you do. On the left-hand side, though, in blue, we have Leathal. Second game of the evening on Tomb of the Spider Queen. We have Kerrigan on Greymane, DPS Mercy on Cho, Galan on 77 on Rhaegar, Sassyport on Anub'arak, and Soylan on Gaul. On the right-hand side, we have Crond6 with Lazy French on Varian, TW... Well, we'll call him T-Wang. On Leoric, Lucat on Vala, Mark on Uther, and Kaza on Tassadar. And here we go into the first engagement of the game. First and Cho'Gall as well. I can't stress that enough. It's just awesome. Slows onto Cho'Gall. He will be extremely slowed from that Varian and Leoric combination swing. Looks like we just have some aggressive posturing, nothing too crazy. And Varian will be diving in, trying to get a little bit of damage on that Cho'Gall, but he will be able to just to get right out of there. And as I was saying, Greymane will be soloing in top, but I would have thought you'd want to be doing your 4-man rotation between top and mid, since those are the shorter lanes. Vala will be going into bottom just to clear up and get a lot of those gems. Looks like they're actually going to be splitting up the team pretty even. Like this, they're going to be having the 3-man in top, probably going to be doing rotations. They have Tassadar in mid just to get a little bit of vision as well as clear that up. And with the pressure that they can provide with a lot of these heroes, they are definitely doing work. Vala is getting a bit of damage onto this Anub'arak, but it will not amount to anything. We are going to see that Greymane going right back into bottom lane, exactly where... Ooh, the rotation, though. There is Tassadar seeing him. Does Vala come back? Nope, she just clears. Oh, he actually comes right back around, thinking he's going to get the attack onto the Tassadar, but it's not going to be working out for him. He will get away with his life, though. In mid, we are going to see that Cho'Gall will be doing a bit of damage in this team fight, and with this heavy front line, it is extremely hard. Now, Leoric will be scaling extremely fast, especially with his spooky hand build that he's going to have. We are going to see a rotation into bottom from Leathal onto the Tassadar potentially. They do get the charge onto the Leoric. He is getting body blocked by the Cho'Gall. Anub'arak does dive forward. He gets the spooky walk away. Wraithwalk gets him. Does he die? The bomb does come out and it will not connect. And he should be walking away. He'll walk away with just a sliver of health. But that does show. I mean, that is Leathal is coming to life with this Cho'Gall comp. I'm excited to see if they actually... Because Cho'Gall scales, in my opinion, really fast. And once you get to 10, he really starts to do a lot of damage and he becomes extremely difficult to deal with. And so that is something that we need to watch out for if they're going to be able to counteract the amount of damage that Cho'Gall is going to be putting out later in the game. And obviously this depends on his build too. But Leoric is just doing exactly what he needs to do. He just puts the hand onto Cho'Gall, walks out of range from the basic attacks from the team, but enough in range that he can just sit there and drain his health. Luckily for Cho'Gall, though, he does have his ability with the Consuming Blaze to heal off of enemies, so that will be beneficial to him if he does build Cho'Gall into that way. This is a Runic Bomb that comes out into the lane in the bottom. The Healing Ward is out just to give a little bit of extra healing here, as well as the vision that Cho'Gall gets with his Eye of Prong. Greymane will get the little bit of a jump onto this Tassadar, and actually Vala will be rotating right into there, and the rest of the team does come in, body blocks any sort of damage that they could potentially be receiving here. Alright, and then at this point we are just going to have some standard rotations back into bottom with the Greymane and the Vala. We're going to be having Tassadar just clearing up mid. Leoric just heckling this Cho'Gall so bad, and if they could just get a pick onto him, that's going to be extremely helpful for the fights that they're going to have later on. Later on, as in just hopefully right after that. But the more picks they can get onto Leoric, because of the fact that he does, you know, if he dies, it will experience. But on the side, but for both teams, they do have enough gems for turn-in. Since there are 0 deaths, everyone's holding on to the gems, and they've been laning properly. So at this point, Greymane is playing safe, hearthing by his gate. We're going to see a small skirmish up here in top lane. We're going to see Varian diving onto that Anub'arak, but it will not be benefiting him in any way. In this meantime, let's just take a peek at some of these talents. It looks like Gall's about halfway through his orb build. Or not orb. Bombs away. Gotta learn every single talent name. Anub'arak does dive in, and it will be a lot of damage onto the Tassadar, but he is just too far out of position and will be falling from the Vala and the Uther stuns. And with that hero down, though, that they got the gems in, so they still have enough for turn-in, but at this point it is going to be a free turn-in for Crond6. I'm gonna have to message one of the guys after this and ask him how to pronounce it phonetically. But I'll just do my best to murder it the entire time. Leoric did work down this wave in bottom, so he's trying to just give it a little bit of extra push for these spiders that will be coming in. Anub'arak is trying to delay this in mid. Very aggressive rotation from the Cho'Gall, who is trying to get into this team fight, but is just having his health zapped away. He does have to tap well. Top is left open at this point, just to try and respond to this mid push. They can't really do too much. They don't have really a good engage here. Vala's in that backline with Uther and the Tassadar, so Varian actually did rotate away, so they do have the chance to take this fight if they can get onto that Uther and that Vala, but they're playing extremely safe here. They will get the stun from the Uther. Anub'arak does dive out onto that Vala. She is getting separated away from the team. Tassadar is leaving as well, but he can rotate around, get a little bit of shields. Leoric does come up, and that is going to be the spooky hand onto him. The cleanse is there, so this should be an easy retreat on the side of Leathal. They get away safe. They get on their healing ward. They play the safe game. The retreats are called out. And this gate was lost, but they did not lose the fort. Now, they are rotating in here very aggressively. Leoric does have the hand onto him. He's just taking a lot of this. And that, as you can see, is about a third of his health was just taken from one hand. And late game, there is a cooldown from completing it. So if he lands those and Cho'Gall stays within it the entire time, that late game hand is going to start chunking the Cho'Gall. And they're not going to be getting the benefit that they need from here. And with the Spider Queen push that they just did get, they have almost enough gems for another turn-in. They do need to defend because there is the potential for the turn-in on the side of Leathal. Looks like they're doing an extremely good job of just trying to get around this Cho'Gall, really slow him down. Anub'arak is spotted out, trying to get in behind the team. They are going to be leaving here, though. You don't want to stagger any deaths, especially with how many gems that they have. They want to try and just slowly turn those in, but with the rotations coming out from Crond6, it's definitely difficult, especially with 39 on that Greymane. I don't think they have enough to turn in without him. But with that, with this little bit of laning that they did, this is enough for Crond6 to turn in, and they're going to be very aggressive in this top lane. They know the Greymane's not there, because he is showing in bottom. With his 39 gems, he really needs to turn those in. We are going to see... I was waiting for an engagement there, but we do not actually have much left in that bottom lane to defend against the spiders that are going to be coming in eventually. Greymane is going to try and get his turn in here. We are going to see a skirmish. The Curse Bolt does come out. It does connect onto the Tassadar. He is very low. He does use his E, so he gets away. There is the Entomb from the Leoric and the Ancestral onto the Greymane, but he has to walk around the Entomb to get onto his teammate. The Divine Shield does come out onto the Leoric. He walks right away. He gets a Spooky Hand out, and he's going to heal him significantly, as well as the Greymane and the Tassadar. The Spooky Hand does go out onto the Anub'arak, who doesn't have a burrow, it seems. He gets taunted, and he will be falling as well. And you can see how the Spectral Leech is just taking so much damage from these high health pool heroes. And Leoric, when Tychus gets banned out, Leoric's always still there, and as you saw with me, I completely forgot about him. Greymane did save, though. He did save his 50 gems. So he has literally almost enough... No, he has enough to turn in for his entire team. Whew. There's the Force Ball from Tassadar, but there will not be a follow-up from the rest of the team, just more of an inconvenience. And that will be a second turn-in in a row for Crond6. Maybe the N is silent. Maybe we'll just call him C6. That's easier. We'll call him C6. They are going to be rotating into this top lane. Definitely going to be pushing up the most with this, trying to draw all the attention from the enemy team. The Curse Bolt does come out. I think it hit Lazy French, but with the rest of the team right there, he should be healing right back up. Actually, Uther is falling super low. There is the dive from the Greymane onto him. The taunt is there. There is the Entomb as well. Greymane cannot get out. There is no ancestral healing for another 10 seconds. Greymane does have the disengage. There is the cleanse onto him, and with the Ganaeus Cocktail, they do confirm another kill onto the Leoric. And with that also, we're going to see a, oh my god, a Varian falling. And so they do get the Spider Queen turn in, but at the same time, oh, this chase is just wasting time. There we go. Get back onto it. They need to deep push. They need to try and not lose. They're going to lose all their forts here. But with this, if they clear this up quick enough, no, they don't. I was going to say, if they clear this up quick enough, they can definitely have enough time to turn in. But with the last Spider Queen falling in bottom lane in a few seconds here, the rest of the team will be back up and in position. But the one benefit of that entire engagement and the falling of 3 of the members on the side of C6 is that Leathal now is on the same talent tier as them. So with that, there's only going to be a level difference, so the power spikes are not that intense, but we are going to see this insanely good force wall coming out and just splitting them up. Just a little bit of panic. I don't think that they... Obviously, the rest of the team was not there for a follow-up. Excuse me, I missed this completely. Anub'arak will be falling. There was the Cocoon onto the Vala to mitigate some of that damage, but there's another Force Wall from Tassadar onto the Cho'Gall. Rhaegar is there, and they will just be sneaking this camp. Well, not sneaking, stealing this camp away from Leathal. Alright, there is the finishing of the bombs away. Gilneas Cocktail's finished. Lion's Maw is almost done. Uther and Tassadar are done with theirs as well. It's 16 when the Runic Blast gives silence, I think, from Cho'Gall, so look to see that happen in the next 3 levels. But Greymane is going to be taunted and is going to use the Curse Bullet. He will be actually in tune, and that is going to be 55 gems falling on the side of Leathal. And the Force Wall's there just to buy time. They're just trying to buy time to waste the gems, and they do fall. I don't know if they fall, they disappear, they time out. Alright, well, with that, though, there is still 47 on the side for C6, and if they just get a couple minion waves here, they can definitely go for another turn-in. Now, with 65 on the side of Cho'Gall, they definitely can maybe try and sneak one in themselves, but at the same time, if they do that, they're going to be missing out on a lot of this critical soak that they're going to be needing, as well as the... they'd probably be losing a gate here, if not getting pressured onto a keep. Bottom wave, they're just doing this. At this point, C6 has just said, you know what, we're going to group together as 5. We're going to rotate around the map, and Lethal's doing the exact same thing. So they're going to try and not get caught out here because 16s is right around the corner. A couple kills here might be the undoing of them. They do not get the gems in. Leoric gets a Spectral Leech onto him. Cho'Gall does try and come out here. There is the Rain of Vengeance, the Ancestral onto him. There's the D-Shield onto the Vala, but Leoric will be not falling, actually. Uther's falling here from that engagement. The Force Wall does come out to try and split them up. There is no more post-death healing from the Ghost Man himself, Uther. Well, actually, 2 Ghost Men on this team. But that will actually be 2 kills, and that was a strong turnaround. And this is what I was talking about when I said that Cho'Gall scales late game. This is the stuff you need to be worried about. Now, if they can get to 16s and they start to snowball this map a little bit, we're going to be going into a 3rd game. I was wondering if they were going to be chasing that down, but Leoric is about to be right back up, and he does have that insanely good trait of being able to spawn exactly where he wants. So he's going to spawn right next to the enemy team. He's going to be ready to engage. There are almost all the ultimates up for C6, but there is no Ancestral healing for another 40 seconds. So if they do get into an engagement at this point, it is going to be without Ancestral, which is going to be hairy. So we're going to see them back off here. They're going to just push up the wave as best they can, get their 16s, get that even talent tier, and then maybe take another fight. Try and swing this game in a momentum in their favor. They do have enough for a secondary turn-in already. And so look to see them just playing extremely passive here. They're going to push the wave up with this turn-in, and then maybe they'll just try and get another turn-in and utilize that to get their... Curse Bullet does miss there. Utilize that to get to their next advantage. Cho'Gall actually getting caught out here. He was trying to rotate around. There is no Ancestral for another... Well, it just popped, and he will be falling right now. Greymane does get force walled away from the Tassadar that he was chasing. The web wrap did just end, and I think it was on the very end. So they are going to be pushing back against this. Meanwhile, though, in top, there is the Web Weaver for Leathal, which will be pushing onto that fort. Won't be guaranteeing the fort, but at least should get the, I think it's the gate at least. Yeah, they got the gate. Alrighty, and the Curse Bolt comes out, but we can see it right away that it's just healed right back. So definitely something you want to save. You don't want to use that as just a poking method. You want to save that Curse Bullet for your full engagement, so you can Curse Bullet into your Worgen form attacks as well as the high damage that you put out at that point. So at this time, we're going to be seeing a turn-in on the side of C6. I mean, their waves aren't insanely pushed up, but this is starting to scale. So the late game Web Weavers are going to be doing a lot of damage. Cho'Gall does come here onto the Uther. The Curse Bullet does come out. I think it hit the Shadow Bolt volley. Looks like it's not going to be able to connect on the Uther, but this Leoric is a little bit in the back line. He does have the Spectral Walk, Wraith Walk to get away. Is he going to be confirmed? No, he gets a little bit extra healing from the Spectral Leech and as well Uther. So the retreats are called out. They need to get away from here. There is also the turn-in from Crond6. I'm going to keep trying their name. So they do need to they did need to push this back. It's definitely something they don't want to deal with, especially their waves were pretty well pushed up for them because of their last spider push. If they can keep this push back, they can turn to themselves and the waves will be better. But at this point, Crond6 look like they're going to be advancing towards this keep, and they are making a note of it. They're not even trying to be sneaky about it. So there is Anubarak is back. Greymane is already here. We're going to see the Cho'Gall rotating in from the core just to be full. This is going to be a fallen keep at this point, but we are going to have the Unstoppable from the Cleanse already, so he can try and get in here. But Cho'Gall is in the back line. The web wrap is out, so they just need to surround right around someone, but they're actually going to go ahead and confirm a kill onto the Vala. The Entomb comes out, but it actually ends up blocking in the Varian. There is a force wall to try and separate the two, and it looks like Cho'Gall is going to go in for more of an engage, and Nubrak was backing off there. He's going to get a little bit of healing from the Ancestral, excuse me. And, oh my god. I just can't believe that they got out of this. With this chase, though, they did give up another keep in top lane to a Web Weaver. And that is going to be significant experience on the side. The The D shield comes out and protects him at the last second. Greymane so low here. There is no Ancestral for another 74 seconds, but they just keep going back and forth with these fights. Like, one team turns it around, the other team turns it around. The Curse Bolt does come out onto the Varian. Takes so much damage. There is the silence from the orb at 16 that we talked about. Leoric is just so low here. And that is just a fist build, apparently, from Cho. So we're going to get the 69, well, some of the 69 turned in on the side of Leathal, and they'll be able to utilize this to push back a lot of their waves. Bottom is fairly pushed out, so they can, and they're going to send their Nubrak into bottom, and that is definitely going to be benefiting them an extreme amount when they're pushing into this this next Web Weaver phase. And this is an 18-minute Web Weaver, and I think it utilizes the scaling from when they hit the ground, not from when it's turning. I have to look into that one, but so it's still 18-minute Web Weaver, still pretty powerful. Cho'Gall will be advancing for this aggressive. There's a huge burrow from a Nubrak. Look at all that poison onto the enemy team. There's just the double Rain of Vengeance trying to buy some time, but this Varian is so far away from the enemy team. Another burrow from a Nubrak, and they are really trying to push onto this core. Cho'Gall confirming the kill onto the Uther, so he will be able to keep his team up with that ghost form Uther, getting some decent healing out onto his team. But now that he's dead, they go in for more of an aggressive attack. The Curse Bolt does come out, but there was the Protect from Varian's his Protect, and so that just mitigated the damage from the Curse Bullet. And so we are going to go ahead and see approach onto this keep, but I don't think they're going to be able to confirm it because the Web Weaver will be falling here shortly. This is 20 advantage on the side of Leathal, so they definitely could work towards boss because there is 23 seconds on the Uther, but I don't think they're going to be taking that aggressive of a stance. 20's being picked up here for both sides. Are we going to see... Yep, redemption for Uther. I was not surprised about that. The healing banner from Varian. Looks like Leoric's going to get some healing off of the minion wave. And alright. Upgrades for the hammer and the Shadow Volley. Upgrade for the Ancestral. So, Cho'Gall... Cho'Gall just going ahead and trying to turn him, but he's just going to say, you know what? No thanks. I don't want any part of this. No thanks. Alrighty. So we are going to have them getting this camp, and they don't have enough for a turn in, but with a couple minion waves here, they could. The only problem with that is that some of the minion waves are so far pushed up that they definitely don't want to... That was a pretty good bait. But Greymane will be falling here. I was going to say, I thought they were trying to bait them into that siege camp, but it does not look like that's going to happen. But the Force Wall actually will be coming out. There's the Rain of Vengeance into the Entomb. There's the stun and the... Oh my god. The Rain of Vengeance into those stuns from Uther is just... And then the taunt as well. And that's going to be a dead Rhaegar as well. And with these death timers so long, and Cho'Gall actually didn't take the cooldown reduction at 20 for his death timer. So at this point, if Cho'Gall falls, he does have the Unstoppable, so he will be fine. But this will be a third keep, probably going over to Crond6, with the death timer of Greymane being only at 20 seconds, and they still don't even have a healer or a secondary tank. They really can't defend this too well. The Shadow Bolt Volley does come out, actually. There is the Force Wall onto Cho'Gall. Gets a decent amount of damage onto the Leoric, who I think was just tanking most of those shots. Alright. So we do actually see Cho'Gall rotating into the team a little bit there. I thought he was trying to bait them into the Greymane, but they don't have their Rhaegar for the Ancestral, as well as they just got their Nubrak back from death. So we're actually going to see... Are we going to see a boss play here? So we are going to see Crond6 going for the boss at this point. Now I'm curious if Lethal's going to go ahead and sniff this out or not, if they're just going to go ahead and push back their waves. There is a buttload of damage they can get from that Vala, especially the way that she gets to 10 hatred stacks real quick. She really starts to just melt the bosses here. It is going to get sniffed out, so they're just going to go ahead and unleash it. They'll get the Force Wall, so it's 100% unleashed. It's going to go full. It's actually not going to go full back to help. They leash it once again, but this one will auto because of the way that it ticks. Tassadar will actually be falling there. Greymane diving in a little bit. The Shadow Bolt volley is out. They are forgetting about the fact that there is someone cocooned right now, and that will be a Varian who does get his protection down as well as protect banner, but he will be silenced, and they should be chased down at this point from the Cho'Gall. Anub'arak actually ended up falling in top lane. What is happening? They're going to leave the Varian who's just barely close to dying. Greymane does hop back onto this Leoric, who will just be getting insanely good healing from the Cho'Gall health pool and that Spectral Leech. There is another hammer onto him. They're going to fight within this safety circle. They do get the kill onto the Leoric. The Ancestral does come out, but Vala's damage at this point is so insane that they're just melting through this Cho'Gall. The Unstoppable is there. He actually... I can't tell if he's going to engage or disengage half the time. We are going to get the Protect from Varian baited out. They did not detonate on him, which was weird because I would have thought you would have gone for that silence so they just have less chasing. There is the silence onto the Vala, which I think they were saving that for. There is the... and that is going to be GG. I didn't even look at the core. I was so enamored by these fights. So that will be GG on the side of Crond6 winning that game.